All right. So what I would like to do then, Jade, you are. I mean, people can see you. No one's come in to interact with you. Um, there's a bell that you could have rung if you need service. Presuming that you're not, no one is going to come in and bother you. The staff seems to have done their job efficiently, and for a while, you do not see anyone roaming the halls. After about an hour and a half, you see a figure walking down the hall and stops in the doorway. And you notice
Jade.
that what's that?
Oh, I was going to say at this point, Jade stands from her sitting position back as though ready to receive a blow as a commoner should.
You see a woman who is pale, wearing a purple dress and makeup, and she has very like heavy lidded eyes with dark bags beneath them, which stand out even further against her paler skin. She stands in the doorway and looks at you, not in a judgmental "I'm a noble, I'm looking down at you," but just looks at you.
Hmm. I would imagine that it wouldn't take much for Jade to end up saying or coming to the conclusion that there's a strong possibility of this individual being of the undead variety, especially knowing Mordecai's position and his ability to be within sunlight. Now that she is not in sunlight, being in the hall, she may be protected from its rays, and so her guise, being mortal, might be removed. Uh, is
Well, you've seen her before. She was in the garden when you were out in the back garden with Ripple Flowerfield.
hmm. Well,
In fact, she
um,
spoke to you, though she
oh
didn't
God,
speak
I'm
to you.
kind of. Oh, Jade ends up looking to this individual, and she will speak to this individual. Without speaking to this individual, she looks at her, and when their eyes meet, it's almost like an exchange of thought.
Yep.
But with this time, it's no longer those visions as Jade likes to do with horrible monstrosities and sounds and feelings and emotions. No, this is actually complete sentences, speaking as she would when she's speaking aloud.
And you are getting the same in return using the same invocation or the same ability, not invocation. And her voice comes across as rather smoky sounding.
I imagine much like mine might be.
You
So,
also carry a particular burden.
my burdens end up remaining constant, but I end up continuing to carry them nevertheless. You as well. You've
I.
seen
Oh, go ahead.
you've seen things that are past. You've looked and seen it for what it really is. Tell me, who is it that ended up offering you such burdens?
I cannot tell you its name, only that it helps me see the world as it is, as it works, and as it is meant to be. And I have also seen in these recent times that I am not alone. I have
Hmm.
seen more of us. More of us who lurk and watch and wait and serve. These are interesting times, Again, one awakened mind to the other. The one of the common helpers just sort of walks by and looks over his shoulder for a moment as you two are just looking at each other, not saying anything, but you're saying everything.
Tick tock, tick tock.
There have been more. It would seem that our kind have been called up to their great purpose, to our great service.
We must end up continuing. The creatures must be removed. They are not a part of the plan.
They are not a part of the plan.
Great works. Aid me. In this house, those that I travel with, they believe in betrayal. They believe this to be a trap. I may be one, but I am many. For you are me, as I am you.
Yes, we are. We are the same. We are different.
You are in service to the Lord here. Tell me, does he harbor such dark thoughts? Is he truly a part of this plan? Or are you here to remove him as well?
I will remove him if it is necessary. Though I wish not to be called to such a service. He is my husband, and I love him. However, this gift I was given so early on, I never thought it would be called upon, and yet here I am. Every day, every moment, every tick-tock seems to draw me ever closer to having to do such a thing. And she's still staring at you with a blank face, her dark eyes, and she has 2 tears coming down her cheeks. But as otherwise, again, you two are, you're using your awakened minds together, and...
You wish to save him. You wish to keep him on the wheel, keep the spokes turning. Then help me help him. Help me understand, see it all. Help me to end up completing the great works so that he need not be replaced. You love him. I have forsaken that burden. And let me be assured that I do not wish, well, you know this, that when I speak these words, it is no threat, but simply our burden. Your husband, your children,
Yes.
if they are in the way of the great work, I will cast them off as any other. I am unafraid to use his great power. I am unafraid to conjure up the wildness of the area around me in order to end up invoking his great work. So, aid me and save him, even from himself.
I have done what I can to try and remove myself from his business. If I do not know, then the patron does not know. I will not be called to harm my children, my husband, others, myself. The wheel still spins, but I must serve, and the pressure continues to grow. I wish that I could cast off my love as you have. I'm so jealous of you. I admire you and your gift. Why hasn't the patron given me that gift? Yet I must love, and I must therefore be a wedge driven between those I love and those I serve. Though those I loves yet? I don't know. I don't think I can know.
Nor should you. You misunderstand. I cast mine off not because that is a blessing. I cast mine off. Name, face, everything. You're not jealous of me as I am jealous of you. So, in order to save what you do have, you say you left you his business. But you are the only one who can reach his business. You're the only one who can protect your children. You're the only one who can protect him. And if you know that our master's plan might be put in jeopardy for an ignorance and fear of having to do the worst, then you may be throwing yourself off the cogs and taking them with you. And I would not wish that upon you, but it will be done, if it must be.
That is fair. I empowered you to do what must be done when you first visited that garden. And here you are. One gear to another, each
One
reacting
gear
and each
turns
enabling
the
each other to have purpose.
Tell me. He looks for Tibba. Why? This is not love. You know what love is because it pains you so.
Yes. He loves Tibba, but he loves the legacy more, I fear.
And to recover that legacy. Now, in that protecting that legacy, he has struck a pact, has he not?
A pact.
He
Not
has...
like us.
No.
He is not a gear. Nor is he an agent of the others.
Then what is he? Does he remain a cog? Or does he break his own teeth?
He is a man. That is all. A man. An ambitious man. A man who does seek power, but who also has the strength to wield it. I know him, and I've seen him. And perhaps because he is just a man and not a cog, he is the most dangerous monster in these lands in our recent days. I love him. I admire his power. But I have fear, and I see why he might be needed to be removed.
If you love him, then you will right his course, as you must. It is rare one has the opportunity to see and save those they love. Your opportunity is more rare than 1,000 suns. Now, do you have the conviction to take it and correct the course?
I must, whether or not I do.
Then we have an accord. Find his purpose, find his work, find the schemes so that we may make sure that the cogs are set in motion, that his plan comes to fruition in the way it must.
And you? You are a thresher to mow down the weeds that are popping up over our lands. What will you do? Where will you turn after our teeth have meshed? I'm doing this as a DM, but to show that you come together and then you part and go in different directions.
I take the place of one cock, then another, then another, then another. I have no place, and yet I have every place. That is the burden I carry. You are right to call me a thresher, as a bringer. I would not call it death, simply removal. That is what I do. That is what I must be. That is what I was crafted to be. Since before the first of my line met the first of my line, I was made into a thresher. But I can only react to the choices made around. I have no choice at all. You do. Make it well. My dear lady, move on. Walk away from here. Dry your eyes. And take comfort that you're one of the few who serve. Few who have a choice to know what cogs they can take on, which ones they turn. And help me save him, his legacy, and his children, lest I have to gnash them to pieces.
And if you do, I will not blame you. We will play our
We
parts.
are just cogs turning.
And she turns her head, actually now breaking the... you two have effectively been having a staring contest here. Someone's coming. I believe it's the butler. I best be off. Remember what I gave you in the garden. And she blinks and kind of shakes it off a little bit and sort of picks up her skirts and walks off.
Jade at this point turns herself to the fire, keeping herself proper. Now, I was given in the fire, or not in the fire, in the garden, if I recall, it was that single pellet.
Yes.
Correct?
Well, it wasn't given to you. You were made aware of it.
Mm.
Because of what happened there. Do you recall what...
No, I'm trying to remember. And I know that's very, very important, so I'm trying to recall the whole thing. I do apologize.
That's fine. I'll start at... Ripple was giving you all a tour, and he was showing you the different plants. And there was one in particular, he showed you the Corpus Creeper, and those are the seeds that are apparently the anti-vampire seeds.
Yeah.
He then told you something about a Pharaohbind seed. And these are seemingly a species that have been bred for similar effect to the Fae. And what Ripple did was he plucked one, and in a playful, quote-unquote, in a playful gesture, flicked it at Celine. And Celine had to make a dex save and passed. And sort of dodged out of the way as he just sort of like, hey, heads up, and tossed it. And it just sort of rolled on the ground. Everyone was leaving, including you, Jade. However, the lady, whose name is also Orchid, by the way, she was creeping behind a hedge and made an awakened mind contact with you and urged you to not leave the seed behind. And you pocketed it. Yes, you pocketed it. But everyone else had walked away.
Alright. She awaits the next coming, and if that's the case, well, she's unarmed. Who can be armed? Who would constitute a seed as an arming device?
At this place, the other orchid, well, one of the three, because one of the children is also named Orchid. There are three orchids. Orchid Overfield, the butler, comes by, and I'm very sorry for the delay. It would appear that Master Flowerfield is currently unavailable for conversation. However, if you have any questions or grievances, he will be happy to have me write them down, and he can address them in due course.
More's the pity. Well,
I argued
I
on your
suppose.
behalf, ma'am, as much as I could, though the master was going to have none of it, as he is quite the busy man with, well, the recent events that have happened, and the paperwork, the orders, the other responsibilities that a man in his position in the Flowerfield family now has.
I'm sure. And I'm sure the paperwork is legion on its own.
Yes.
You must be quite busy in order to end up maintaining him. So I appreciate your patience. I hope you'll remember me in this way fondly, even if I won't.
Of course, you have acted above board, and as a, well, not the woman you once were. And I don't mean that you were a unicorn.
No. But then again, I'm not sure what I am anymore. Sir, she extends her hand.
If you've walked this way, do you require transportation?
I think it would be safer for your driver if he did not. I can be erratic when I am less than lucid.
Very well. Though do
Thank you
recall from past experiences, we are very much in the midst of our sensitive flowers.
Yes. That's what I was reminding myself of. When I ended up walking here, I was sure to be careful. And on my way back, I will attempt to be so as well. Thank you so much for your hospitality. You have been as patient as a sage and a gentleman worthy of your station.
And here, in this moment, you have been an example of your family. He says politely.
It's the closest thing to a compliment he's ever given the entire party. Let's just be honest here.
Then I shall escort you to the door, and you can walk through, unless there's anything you wish to do along the way.
I am very grateful for that. But if I might ask a simple courtesy.
Yes.
Never make mention of that I was here. It's a complicated matter. And
To whom?
I don't think to anyone. As far as the rest of should be concerned. There is no Stillwaters named Jade. Not anymore.
I can assure you discretion, ma'am. However, well, it's been longer than approximately 2 minutes, so I can't say much for Lily Hugetract and the rest of the kitchen staff and other maids.
Of course not. But you're the only one of consequence now, aren't you? She smiles at him as though a tip of the hat to his station and a firm belief in his bit.
He keeps a fairly straight face, but he does crack a smile at that.
Be well. She starts to walk down the road.
Okay. There's carts and stuff. Again, more people outside. They're doing their thing. Well, you've been here. It took you a while to walk out here. They were doing research in the library. It was only the afternoon because you went in for a morning. They offered you, I think, a breakfast, if I recall.
Yes.
So it's springtime. Days are getting a little bit longer. It's not evening yet, but it'll be late afternoon by the time you hoof it back into town. But as you're departing again, people are coming and going, and before we fade to you re-entering town and going back to the library, any other actions or observations or anything that you want to prompt?
Yes, it's at this point, Jade will wait until she is, well, far enough away, out of sight, out of mind, before she starts to busy herself. Because after all, at this point, she is nothing more than another tiefling worker.
Ah, all right. So your invocation, which does not trigger the flowers, despite it being a casting of a spell.
It's like a spell-like ability, not a spell unto itself.
I mean, in the past, you've ruled it doesn't count as a spell. I mean, I kind of pinged you about it a couple sessions ago, and you said...
Yeah, well, no, that's what I'm saying. His invocation, he's casting the disguise self, but I'm bringing up that, here you are, you're magically, changing, and it doesn't seem to be setting off any of the flowers here.
And at this point, Jade is, well, busying herself. Just playing second fiddle or what have you. All she's doing right now, staying out of the way, looking busy, kind of like a jackhammer worker. You just make a lot of noise and dust, and people assume you're working. And it's just tracking what's going in, what's going out, what's going on here. And just passive information gathering in this state.
Okay. Sure. While you're doing this, what would this be?
I believe this would be a deception.
No, well, you can give me a deception or an insight, whichever is going to be higher for you. Probably deception, but
I was hoping for advantage, but now I can understand.
It won't be, and this is okay. So an 11 or a 10.
I just for the chat to know, I just rolled an 11, which seems like, hey, that's pretty average. Let me remind you, she has a +7. So officially, Jade has not rolled higher than a 4 this entire session. The trend continues.
Okay. A couple of the other workers do glance over at you. None of them, I mean, they're busy doing their own thing as well. So no one comes over to you, but, I mean, you're noticed. You're not necessarily just a face in the fields here.
No, but it's one of those, I noticed, but I got work to do.
Okay, and so that will be, that is your lingering sort of homework assignment that you're going to be doing for quite some time, as we are going to zoom back over to our library crew here. And you have, the roles are creating many roleplay opportunities for you all.
Putting it politely.
Yeah. Okay. So you were having this study session, and you're able to get some things that are, you might very well have found some interesting information. You're bouncing ideas off each other. There's 3 of you, or really maybe Bright counts as 2 because of just the manic sort of way she's. I mean, she's like a dwarf at a buffet. I mean, come on, let's be real here. She's just like knowledge, and is just going ham on this here. You
didn't want to stop during Jade's session and go get a bunch of book props, but otherwise I'd have a lot of book props.
we'll use the
was
power
very
of our
I'm
imagination.
so sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Yeah, let's go with this one.
Let's see. I don't have any. All I have is my spell book.
All right, so. Whoop. Oh,
Be
Cat,
right back.
what are you doing,
I
Cat?
gotta go to the washroom.
Oh my
The
gosh.
cat is currently stepping all over your keyboard. Is what she's doing.
Apparently.
I'll be right back.
All right, so Norlai, you have been researching plants, but you're doing so more in the mundane fashion, correct? Like, because Bright was going for the supernatural, the more magical, the theory and wild magic and such.
Yeah, I was going like specifically like how to take care of a sentry plant for beginners.
Okay. You can roll an investigation at advantage, and we'll see what happens here. All right, an 8 or a 10. So it's not bad. So in your book, you find enough information here that, I mean, it's sort of like my first flower, and it's like it's a little kid's adventure in gardening, and and you're like water makes thirsty plants happy, and just you learn about the basics of gardening. Now, that being said, the kids here in Snam Phi are, I mean, this is a bread and butter industry for them, so you are getting a good lesson in how to properly care, feed, and water, and I guess walk even your plant. Now, you do not see references to plants that are you do not thank you very much for the follow, Holy. You do not see references to plants that are like Herbert. In what you're reading about the plants that live around there that are growing in the area.
Even though when I was talking to Rolf, we were like, I was specific about I wanted something for a sentry plant.
If you said sentry plant, then I'm sorry, I did not understand it. The concept of a sentry plant is seemingly not known. The librarian didn't know, and there's really no references to them in books. Now you are getting, I mean, there's flowers. The closest thing I guess would be there are monsters that are like flower related monsters, like the flower wasps and the thing that ate Bright toward the beginning of the campaign. So there are flowers, but they're like monsters that have flowers growing in and around them. But there's nothing that is like Herbert. Does that make sense? So there are dangers.
Because I did show him this plant. I was like, I want specifically for this plant.
Well, you can find that plant, but there's nothing about that plant being sentient. Like here's a drawing, and what's that?
Yeah, I was just thinking like it'd be specifically this is this type of plant. What information that at least would be known to people in this town, how to take care of this specific type.
Plant the seed 2 inches into nice soil, and it takes X amount of time. Make sure you don't overwater it. It's basic care and feeding. But you're not finding anything about this plant that is making it anything more than a decorative plant. That is more of a benign. It might look like it has a mouth, kind of like some of the flower monsters outside in the field itself. But there doesn't seem to be knowledge that this plant reacts as you know that it reacts.
Well, that's fine. She wasn't looking for that. She was just, how do I take care of this, basically. So it's alright.
Okay. Mordecai, you've had a study session. You can make another investigation at advantage.
Come on, big money.
Hey, 16's pretty good.
There's another one in there.
Or a 2, which would have been a natural 1 if you didn't have advantage. But fortunately, there's enough of you around comparing notes. I mean, Mordecai, you're probably feeling really lost there for a while. And one of the others just sort of like pointed something out, and you're like, oh, I had the book upside down the whole time. Oh my gosh. But you played it off really cool because you have a high charisma. All right, you're looking into the history of Mesomasca and especially where it might intersect with vampires.
Yes.
Yes. With the investigation that you have, I will answer 2 questions that you have. They don't have to be super basic, but I also don't want you to like hire a lawyer and write out a wish spell request either.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. But I will answer 2 questions you have regarding this topic, as you have conveniently found answers for them.
I was looking kind of specifically for instances in which vampires, or I guess vampires in particular, because I was looking for that, but any kind of instance in which something like an incursion has happened before that would prompt perhaps the Flowerfields manufacturing seeds to prevent such a thing.
Okay, so the question is, are there any references to vampire incursions?
Yes.
Okay. Your specific answer to that is there are in this history reference book, which is seemingly legit. I mean, there's a lot of books here, but nothing is saying that this is like sloppy, historical record keeping.
Mm-hmm.
There is no mention of vampiric incursions. However, you do find a reference that there have been many old preservation techniques for the dead that had been discovered prior. Well, the techniques were used prior to the tieflings having landed in Mesomasca. And so they found corpses that were preserved, but they weren't embalmed like a mummy or wrapped up. And so whoever was here before the tieflings used a preservation technique. And do you have a second question that I can answer? It can be in follow-up to this, or it could be about something different.
I think it would kind of tie into... I kind of want to get a little bit more expanded on that, I think.
Okay. So you're pouring deeper into this tome?
Yeah, kind of in relation to how... Because the other thing that I wanted to know was what I could expect as a vampire, but if there had been preservation techniques used prior to Mesomasca's founding in that same regard, that might be a trail, that might be somewhere, that might be a lead in that regard. So just kind of expanding on that topic, I think.
Then form your question.
I'm terrible with words. What did they employ to preserve the dead? In a magical or mundane sense.
The presumption is there is some kind of a magic upon them, like a gentle repose. However, no magic has been detected on the bodies that had been discovered as preserved.
Like no residual, like we would be able to find.
There's no residual magic. The bodies did appear to be somewhat desiccated. They were definitely exsanguinated. However, they don't bear the standard they're not rotting as they should, but they're also not super dried out as they should. And so, as far as the researchers of this book have been able to determine, this is an old preservation technique of a non-magical origin that has been that's been found across Mesomasca in burial mounds, and some are also in various ruins that have been found as the tieflings and then the humans had come to land upon Mesomasca and go out and start to discover the land.
Did it say what race those people were?
Yes, humans and tieflings, interestingly enough.
Before the founding.
And so in reference, they're finding that it was, in some ways predecessors, or this just goes to show that this is the holy land of, well, at least of the tieflings, because they're finding some, not as many as the humans, but they are finding some tieflings as well. And in fact, you're going through there, you can see that there is an etching of one such case that is being held in one of the museums in the we'll put this one in I am going to make sure I get the city name right this time, because last week I accidentally pointed to the wrong place on the map. It'll actually tell you that in the south, in Mask of Storms, there is a small island at the end of the beak that was just almost like itself a large, like, burial mound of these people, and so it'll show some etchings of like an artist's rendition of what has been found there, and some of them were taken to a museum in Mask of Storms. Sort of like how we preserve Egyptian mummies and the like, or we find something called the Ankaran sarcophagus and we just sort of lug it around and see what happens. And as you look at the etching, Mordecai, this does in fact appear to be similar to the old style clothing of the vampires that you saw on the road, which at that time you were able to link that is an old style of the pattern and colors that the current Shadowheart Empire wear and use.
I'll definitely point that out.
Celine, you may now make an investigation at advantage, as you are investigating Ouija. You're using a Ouija board? Hey! 17.
Yes, I'm using the Luigi board.
All right, so Celine, you do one better than Mordecai, so you can stick your tongue out and go, meh. However, that's still going to get you 2 questions. And so, Celine, I will answer 2 questions in the vein of the research that you have been conducting about religion, specifically Ouija's, and maybe how it intersects with here, there, anywhere.
Okay. So first question would be, I suppose just a general rundown of the history of worship of Ouija's here in Mesomasca, because while Celine would know everything there is to know about Lacuna's Ouija's worship, well, she's not in Lacuna right now.
You could have a different kind of denomination. Maybe some worship is more death-oriented, others are more magic-oriented. Okay, I see where you're going there. So, form your question for me then. Question number 1 is?
What is the nature of the worship of Ouija's here in Mesomasca?
All right. As you are reading, you discover that there is, it was brought up prior, but there is a temple to Ouija's on the west coast of Mesomasca. And it came over as one of the religions that the Tiefling pilgrims brought with them. The Tieflings came to Mesomasca, and this denomination was more focused on the magical aspect of Ouijas. Now, not that it's divorced from the death aspect, but they are not as fatalistic about it. They're not as death can be a result of magic, or magic can interact with death. Yes, but they came more in the study of death itself. And so you are getting a bit of a history regarding the I don't really want to call it a cathedral, but it might be more appropriate to just call it as such, or like a small cathedral. Not like a big mega church, or where, people will rent a stadium and have like 10,000 people show up for a worship or whatnot. But there is, in Old Town, which is the southern, like the original port, in our modern age in Mesomasca, it would still be, a throwback to the founding days. It'd be kind of like, I don't know, it'd be going to, at least for us here, it'd be like going to Jamestown, which is like a historical reenactment village and such. Or you can go to Boston and see a lot of history and so forth. Yeah, kind of, Derek, yeah. And so you'll get a lot of information there. So in specifically answering the question, there's the information I gave you, but perhaps I can give you a voucher and say that if you go there, you might have leads, or you might know what to look for, since you can interact with the people in the building and the culture that's directly there. And as a writer to that, the form of Ouijas worship that you might find still in practice here would be different in some ways than that which you studied in Lacuna, particularly because Lacuna is the one that lays claim to the Dragon Graveyard that's in that igneous valley that's in the middle of the ocean, or that inner sea area. And so you might have grown up a little bit more on the death side of things, but these would be more on the magical side. And will they meet in the middle? Quite possibly. But it'll be a different brand, a way for you to possibly expand your horizons or learn a little bit more. But I will give you sort of like a token that if you are exploring this denomination in an appropriate fashion in Old Town, that I might be able to reveal a little bit more. Do you have a second question that I can answer for you? Also, Risky Business, thank you very much for that subscription, and that's rock on, man. It's always good to have you guys pop by.
Okay, second question.
Cheers, Risky.
Is there any mention of, because it is very much the study of magic and the study of death, is there any mention in this book of religiously led practices in necromancy happening in Mesomasca? Mainly to do with bringing the dead back, or making deals to prolong death. Vampirism, lichdom, it doesn't really matter the particular flavor.
Yes. There are citations that have led to an effective ban on seeking that kind of power in Mesomasca from this founding order of Ouijas that came over with these tiefling pilgrims. And it does not get into the particular nature, though it does mention that the magic in the north, or the flowers in the north that have the ability to warp magic, also can produce devastating effects when mixed with necromancy. Like unpredictable or devastating effects. There are also mentioned that experiments elsewhere, especially in the south of Mesomasca, have yielded very dangerous results, leading to the cessation of this kind of pursuit in Mesomasca. As a theory, as a study, it's still a part of the religious texts. However, the church itself does not seek to practice necromancy in Mesomasca because of events that have occurred in the north and the south.
So they no longer actively practice it, but there have been issues in the past, and that doesn't mean that some zealot.
Oh, of course, there can always be a radical. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Celine's thought, is like having a look to see if there was any cessation of the practice. Like, because there is a cessation of the practice, it means if someone has ceased the practice, then that means that someone would not be happy that they've ceased the practice and would go off on their own to do such things.
That is a distinct possibility. I mean, in all faiths, you could have those radical elements. Now, you did roll. I'll do the nanner nanner boo boo. Stick your head in doo doo to Mordecai. You got a little bit higher, so I will let you roll an insight at disadvantage to see if you can squeeze out one little last drop of something.
Wait, Mordecai?
Yeah. I mean, no. Just you, Celine, can roll insight at disadvantage, and I will. Okay. I'm giving you an opportunity to squeeze one little last drop out. Whereas Mordecai, I'm going meh, because he only got a 16, not a 17.
That makes more sense, because it's like, wait, Mordecai rolled it, but I rolled a 17. But no, I'll roll that in 17. Oh,
nice.
So that natural 20 immediately with that.
It would have been a 26, but even at disadvantage, it's a 22. But you know what? That's going to be what's that?
It's still a natural 16. I'm happy with that.
Oh yeah. So with the 22 at disadvantage, I mean that's still saying something here. You read the text, and in this case, you're looking for context, or you're even reading between the lines. In the north, it gave a particular, like a specific reason why that like a support or a buttress to the argument that we should not practice necromancy, or the type of necromancy to extend life or to seek sort of lichdom or power, because the flowers produce these wild effects, very cause and effect. In the book that you're reading, it only says due to activities in the south that also led to the decision. So you have a very specific citation and you have a vague citation that are both being used as these support columns to this effective, at least a religious ban through the Church of Ouijas, the Mesomascan denomination, about the topic you were seeking. And of course, I mean, you can talk about this with Mordecai or Noralai and the others, or you can hang on to it as we're going to get to Bright here. In fact,
I'll take a bit of time to compose these thoughts first before I bring.
Okay. Bright, you may roll investigation at advantage, and we'll see how many questions I can answer for you.
That's me.
Okay, with a 16, I will
be right back.
Yep, no problem, sir. I will directly answer 2 questions for you, and we will see what... now, you can choose, because you had a couple different topics, so at least if you want to mix it up, you can mix your questions up or go from there, where the others were sort of like a one subject matter. But I will answer...
go ahead. I had so many questions. I actually had more questions than I get answers, so that's not very good. Okay, so the most important question for sure is there any way to suppress the effects of the wild magic zone?
Your answer you find is yes, and a very direct method, and that would be to destroy the flowers. So if you have a way to burn them, poison them, salt the ground, if you had some sort of a giant threshing machine, you could just like scoop them all up and cut them all down. You could reap
Jade,
them.
for example.
You can if you destroy the flowers, you will destroy their hold and their effect because they're no longer here.
You say?
A thresher, I say. However, because of the immense amount of food, medicine, and other income that they produce, no one here, no one native to Mesomasca is ever going to propose to destroy the flowers because of everything that they do.
Yeah, I was hoping for something a little more like temporary and localized.
It is as a part of this, it is theorized. I can speak common, I swear. It is theorized that the flowers in the north grow here and produce a similar but different wild magic effect than the large crater to the east, which is just north of your home in Uct. Well, maybe not your hometown, but your home country of Uct in Mesotopia. Because that giant sort of it's not wasteland, but it's definitely just a giant impact area. Has wild magic that is not as kind or friendly as the type that has been tickling you all here in the north. But due to whatever event caused that, it is theorized that some fallout of that has occurred and settled in the northern part of Mesomasca. So they could be linked in some way. However, those wild magic zones have come to be. And that might be something that your mentor might know more of, because he wrote a book on magic and such.
Well, he's not really my mentor. He's the guy I'm looking for.
You want his autograph very badly.
Yes. Okay. That was okay. The second question is, I'm looking for history on the flower fields, and especially kind of a multi-part question, and I'm not sure how much of it you're going to be willing to answer.
But throw it out there and we'll see what sticks.
Are any other potential flower field heirs other than Ripple and Tibba, and why Ripple's branch of the family lives somewhere else, and if there are any other branches of the family?
Okay. Well, in that case, we could just summarize it as what is the genealogy or the history of the Flowerfield family?
Yep, those things.
Okay. The Flowerfields are a very old family in not just Snam Phi. In fact, they're one of the founding families of Snam Phi as a settlement. But they are rumored in this text to have come over even with the majority tiefling pilgrims. It's not that humans didn't exist or that there wouldn't have been others that had been around. But they are a very old family. They're one of the first ones to settle. And, I mean, I can provide, because of their, their magnanimity, that vocab word would work as well. Because of how important they are, they do have a very storied genealogy. Who married into the family, the kids, and all that. So, it's a rather simple question, and in this case, I can almost open up with the flower fields themselves. a lot of things that we might be able to consider to be public records. So things like charitable giving, maybe some tax records, births, deaths, and marriages. Obviously there's not going to be in a historical book or a genealogy book. There's not going to be, rumors or anything like that. But so sort of putting this public catalog of the flower fields in front of you here. If you want to know just in the current generation, the only ones that are recorded to be of any, I guess, direct inheritance of the family, the title, the lands, the money, the businesses, etc. It would for sure be Tibba. His name is recorded in there. And let's see, as you're going through, and I don't need that one. His father was Leporfi. His mother, who is still alive, if you recall. In fact, she was apparently upstairs, just inconsolable in her room. Her mother, or Tibba's mother's name is Tigre. And Tigre is not known to have any siblings that are recorded, but she married into the flower field with Leporfi. You then have Leporfi's brother Ripple, and his wife Orchid, and then those two have three recorded offspring: Tulip, Orchid, and Solaris. Aside from that, I mean, you're finding a handful of sort of like branch family. So yes, they are flower fields, but they're sort of like a cousin, like a branch of cousins that could technically inherit into it, but they're not going to be as directly involved as the line that you've just read. There don't seem to be other members of the main family that are still alive. For example, Tibba doesn't have any grandparents that are alive. And also of note, in this genealogy book, there are several families that do seem to serve the family. And so while they're not flower fields, you do see the last name of Overfield. And it is not as complete a family tree that you're seeing, but you do see that Orchid Overfield is currently the recorded sort of master of the house, who is the head of this family that is almost meant to serve the flower fields. It's sort of like a sub clan to the flower fields, though they've always been in this position. A hereditary position of service to the family, and in return the family takes care of the Overfields because the Overfields take care of the flower fields. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, no Overfields are noted to be on like an inheritance tract, though I mean they've experienced the wealth and the prestige of the family just from a position of service.
Anything about what Ripple, like, where his branch of the family goes, like where they're from?
He was born in Snam Phi, but there's no note that he owns a business or he doesn't have. There's no charitable giving under his name, at least not in the book you're reading. There's not ink drying in it today, but looking at maybe it was last year's update to the genealogy or the biography of the flower fields here. So I mean, Ripple exists, but in this family reference, he does not seem to have any sort of business or really. There's nothing like you would see for the entries for Leporfi. Or any of the other ancestors in the in the line.
So there's really no information on him at all.
No, just basics. You know when he was born. He was born and raised here, but he
Not like any record of when he moved to the south or anything like that.
not in this kind of a record book. No.
Weird. Okay.
So there's, if something lingering comes up, you have sort of a public record, genealogy of the flower fields here. You might be able to sort of have a lingering reference of some kind, if something in particular comes up. But that's as direct a rambling answer as I can give you based on your question.
Okay.
So, this is the information that in this moment you come up with. Hey, if you want to spend the night, well, you can't spend the night in the library, but you could stay here and read through books for years. There's a lot of books here, but in several hours, bringing you to where the sun's starting to yawn and stretch and get a little bit low on the horizon, this is what you've been able to glean from your references. You can compare notes. You can go from there. Heck, use PCs. I might have someone chasing after you for all you've speculated, but right now, as far as you know, there's no one out to get you. You could tell me that you want to take a week off and just do nothing but study, and you want to sort of force some downtime. And I mean, if someone's chasing you, then someone's going to chase you. But right now, things are afoot, but the ball's kind of in your court right now, right? You've had this mystery kind of put in your laps. There is Tibba who's out there and he's either dead or something is going on with him. You also have Tazray who's kind of out there and he just said, well, call me if you need me. I'm going to be hanging out. But you don't have a direct, 3 days or something like that just hanging in front of you. Some sort of a hard deadline. Except if you want to do Sisyphix's, if you want to go find that flower in Green Shield. I guess that's the hard deadline that you have.
Did they not pass the deadline yet?
No, because we're only in... This is session 22, but we're only on in-game day 11. It has been a frantic pace in-game.
Yeah, we've we're only like 13 days in.
It might be closer to that. So yes, so here's some direct answers straight from the DM's mouth to your ears. This is use this as a springboard, and what I'm looking for is, beside anything that I've had a conversation with Jade about, because there's kind of a ball that was in Jade's court and kind of, he offered a challenge, and not that your characters know this for the rest of you. But, there's a ball that was knocked back in my court that could be some sort of a countdown. But for you all, I'm really looking forward to, how are you going to act on this information? Are you going to make a plan? Are you going to, I don't know, get a job? You want to settle down and have a pile of kids here and Snam Fine? Be like, oh, well, those were the days. I remember adventuring. But then we just sort of, went, eh. So yes,
finds the idea of having kids utterly abhorrent.
And yet the first thing she did was deliver one.
Yep.
It's all right, but she went gross icky, and so the library will be open for about another hour as the sun is, so Rolf is going to come back and very discreetly put a small bill in front of the three of you for 3 silver piece apiece for repairs or cleanup, and asks that you take care of this.
Wait, I don't.
Oh
need
no,
more about that,
Celine.
do I?
Yeah, no, you gave a gold, so you get a receipt saying that you've donated you've paid for the 3 silver for the cleanup, but you've also donated 7 silver to the library, and thank you for being a patron of knowledge and history and so forth. They're probably going to put you on a mailing list that you'll never escape.
Oh, yeah. That sounds wonderful. It's just gonna, it's just gonna stack up in front of my small shack in Laguna.
Yeah. No amount of remove curse is ever gonna stop those letters from coming on a clockwork basis every month. No matter how many times you change your address and you say no, thank you, or.
It's okay. I've got divine intervention.
Ooh.
I'm going to just.
It's designed to work 1 every 10 times.
I'm gonna slowly slide my bill over to Mordecai and give him little puppy dog eyes.
Oh wow!
Do you not have any money?
No.
This is the first time I've ever seen. It's the first time I've ever seen anyone get library fines without even checking out a book.
But it won't be the last.
If I give you the 3 silver, what do I get in return?
I can give you some of your crossbow bolts back.
You own my crossbow now. It's fine.
I'll make sure Herbert doesn't go to your room.
And he stays out of common areas. He stays in your room only.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta take him out for walks, but
He's
I
a
can make
plant.
sure he stays on the window.
He's a plant.
Yeah, but fresh air is good for plants.
Fine. Your room.
Mhm.
And only on walks.
Yeah.
And then I pay additional 3 silver.
Okay. So your bills are paid. You are each asked if you would also like to be a patron of the arts and be put on a subscriber list. And also, if any of the 4 of you would like to sign up for a library card.
No, I think I'm fine.
Yeah, I think I'm okay. Thank you. We're not really residents here, so we probably won't be here that long.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a very good chance that my particular line of work might get me killed, so
So
I
fatalistic.
don't wanna.
Okay.
Not
then-
really fatalistic, just the kind of thing of, I'm around death so much that it might actually consume me one day. It's called thinking ahead.
With
I don't want that level
knowledge
of
and
responsibility.
with this knowledge then in your noggins, the library is going to be closing up soon. Are you going back to your penthouse? I mean, it could still be bugged for all you know.
So,
Go ahead.
link up with Jade at some point. I don't know if we have a rendezvous planned with her.
I think that would be the idea. Just link up back at the tumbled wench, and then during the night we'll go and do our actual investigation.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay.
That's
Actually,
we
well-
still haven't paid.
I
Wait.
need to,
Oh, go
I
ahead.
need to go
You
buy
first.
some blood.
Oh, Mordecai's hungry.
Yeah.
I'm out.
It's probably better if we buy the blood before Jade gets back. You know how she feels about that sort of thing.
Okay. Yep.
I would like to look for really seedy and rundown, crappy taverns.
I will go with you.
Okay.
I'd very much, prefer how we are to currently, to what we would.
Wait, you cut out again.
Yeah. Can you repeat that?
Me? Oh,
No. For
No.
Celine, you preferred something.
Yeah, it's like I definitely prefer how we are, like the tavern that we're in now than the things that we've had to do.
Yeah. I like places where we don't get shanked in the middle of the night. And I think right now,
Yeah.
places where you might get shanked in the middle of the night, we're less likely to get shanked in the middle of the night.
Well, I mean,
That's
the thing
entirely
is,
fair.
think of it this way, right? At the very least, if someone tries to shank us in the middle of the night, I can shank them right back
Yeah.
with my rapier.
Yeah.
I'm
So
not exactly a fan of doing that in the middle of the night anyway. So
yeah, I still want to find those places though.
Okay.
I mean, we don't have to go in right now. I just want to find them.
Okay. Then yeah, I mean, you could find there's more than just one place to stay here in Snamfi. It is a bit of a tourist destination, and in its own right, it's an agricultural city, and it hits that that one sort of economic slice of the pie really well. But yeah, there's even a couple places that are higher end than the Tumbled Wench.
I don't want those. I want crappy rundown.
Then you'll find maybe not like crappy rundown, it's gonna fall down on you, but yeah, you'll find inexpensive places to stay that would be more on the, they don't have a breakfast. It's just really, here's a roof that doesn't leak over your head and some semblance of maybe privacy. And
it's not really about the price. It's more about the clientele. Sort of clientele that you would find in that sort of place, if you understand what I mean.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm looking for criminals.
There's no. A seedy dive bar like that doesn't really exist here, though there are. I guess there'd be a place where it'd be like the locals' watering hole, where a lot of the more working class, probably a lot of the laborers who work in the flower fields to harvest, who do a lot of manual labor, people who spend long hours in the sun, or sort of bending over doing all this other stuff, and so this is a place where they go. You're gonna go and find probably cheap drinks, and you're getting just that. It's a little bit more rough and tumble because it's where the locals hang out, and it's like it's their spot. It's not the touristy, for higher income outsiders. It's, you have friends in low places here. So yeah, there'd be places like that, but they're not going to be like the seedy dockside sailor. A stiff breeze would probably blow this place over. Kind of a ramshackle, criminal, shady, leaky place to be.
Okay. What a crappy town. It doesn't even have criminals.
Yeah, it probably has like a decent school system and no criminals, and it's just
Okay. So
where if you want to find illicit substances, it's not exactly the best place.
But everyone's driving SUVs for some reason on the paved roads. I don't know.
No, and there's a guard at the front gate who lets everybody in as long as you talk the right way and look the right way. Okay, so it's going to be hard for us to find Luciferus, and it's also probably going to be hard for us to dispose of these flowerfield rings if we decide to, because I'm not finding criminals.
Someone brought up the idea of dropping them off at a shrine. There's a shrine to Luna.
Yeah, that was me. That's if we want to just get rid of them, but given how poor we are that we can't even pay our library fines properly, I'm thinking that there might be a black market where we might find some forgers or somebody along those lines who would like to have these. Yeah, and they might pay more because, they're just, what are they made of?
Gold and platinum, I thought.
What are what made of?
Rings.
Oh, yeah, they were what, 200, they were worth 250 gold a piece, but they probably have, I don't know, like a little gemstone set into it looking like a flower and some gold and some, like a colored enamel and whatnot. Because it has the flower field, sort of like it has their crest on like a red shield or something like that, we'll say. All your rings look the same and they're generically sized, so it's not like they were delivered, just for you. So Bright, you probably have one that's a little bit too big for your.
Yeah, I can't wear mine, but there's no way I would put it on. Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, we can't spend these, so. But to the right person, I think they'd have a lot of value, and we just need to find that right person. So Yeah.
Rare that that a place like this doesn't have a seedy underbelly.
Well, maybe,
Maybe I
maybe it's the sort of thing. Don't take this the wrong way, but maybe it's the sort of thing that only the tieflings can find. That I'm too cute to find it.
I mean, I can certainly ask some people.
So let's go get you some blood.
Should sell the rings in this town, though, especially since everyone's so connected.
Well, that's why you find the criminals. Okay, so I would like to, maybe we can get Mordecai some blood and maybe we can pick up a lead while we're there.
Okay. I put a little reminder out there for you all regarding one of those aspects.
Yeah.
Oh, snap. I don't know what J-Man has been up to, but he's been a popular, J-Man has been a popular boy tonight. When you all get through Ad Purgatory, I'll have to, I'll have to see what's going on.
But yeah, I definitely want to get some idea of where to find Luciferus in this city, because if there's not really much to speak of as far as the seedy underbelly, that's, I don't know.
Oh, J-Man is here. J-Man, looks like you were having a heck of a good night. Thank you very much for that raid and bringing over everyone. I hope you had an awesome stream and you're still working on your graphic novel, and that's I mean, welcome to you and everyone else who raided with you, and you made it through that Ad Purgatory. Well, you all are welcome. You came in at a very interesting time of investigation, and now we're trying to find some drugs. So, kids, don't do this.
It's not a good idea.
Cue the Cypress Hill music.
In the words of Sword
Oh, yeah,
Online
yeah,
Abridged,
we
British don't use drugs, except steroids, in which
We've
case
had-
use lots of drugs.
Did Norlai ever give us the information that she had from her brother about what Luciferus more or less
I
was?
haven't yet because it didn't come up in the side RP. I can make it up now, though.
Zulerpie, has anyone died yet? We've had a lot of really bad rolls, and I've had
some
to
terrible
issue
rolls.
some library fines, and also the players did get the rare occasion to get
4 now.
to ask the DM direct questions and receive direct answers, just in a limited quantity, or at least as close as you could probably ever get in a D&D game of a direct question and answer. And then we also had we had a very telepathic conversation between secret agents. That's a good code word for it. We had 2 secret agents sort of bump in the night and have a completely telepathic conversation about, like the existence of everything and one's place in the universe and stuff like that. Average D&D session.
Yeah, though I will admit I do take it as high flattery that I am now referred to as the Thresher. I gotta own up to that one, apparently. And yes, for those of you asking, Mordecai has died several times. In fact, we are working on a small little bit at the corner of the screen that is the Mordecai owned counter, because you are indeed the Krillin of this group.
Yes, I am.
Now, real
Except,
quick. Oh, Lethality, do you have to go soon because you have the Gathering of Nerds tonight?
yes,
Okay.
It is past 5 o'clock for me, but
Then-
I do have a little bit of time.
Okay. I know it takes a little bit of time for you to get your stream set up, and you know that we'll come over and give you guys a raid to pass on the love as well as you set up your one shot. And it's always nice to get a free trip down to Australia, just by clicking a button. If only we could just instantly, it's just sort of instant transmission down there. That'd be really cool to just go and hang out.
Trust me, if only that were possible. I mean, it might become an eventuality. Just give me 30 years.
Then as you're getting ready then to depart, is there the group is kind of settling in for the night? You have these answers. Mordecai's gonna go try and find Blood and Luciferus. Well, Jade is gonna be catching up with you all, probably with some extra info, since she was hanging out. Actually, Bright, you're gonna go to the bar where where you have friends in low places. You might actually just find Jade there hanging out with some of the other work crew. But is there anything, Celine? Is there anything that you want to do before the pilot in your brain, known as lethality complex, needs to depart, leaving you as a bit of an NPC on /follow?
Okay, so Celine is basically just going to get all of her, everything that she learned in order.
Mm-hmm.
And then in side roleplay, most likely, Bright, Mordecai, and she'll sit everyone down and we can have just a big information sharing session inside roleplay.
Sure. Okay. All right, so you'll facilitate some information sharing. Then
Yes.
All right. You are on autopilot, Celine. You're relieved of duty. You've served well this week.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. I did almost get hit by a sentry vine, but I mean, at least it could have been worse.
Yes.
And now I've jinxed it. And now
I'm still here.
it's time to go. My planet needs.
Away!
Seriously, with an alien.
Oh.
Totally an alien. But no.
We feel the need to take a quick photograph of your face and do that whole edit.
Yeah.
But
No. Oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna get ready to go do the stream. Great game as always, Matty and you guys. And I will see you guys, if not later on for the stream going on tonight, then next week.
Sure.
Bye, senpai.
Okay, bye. Come back. We'll see you next week.
I will make sure to come back. Yes, I will see you guys next week.
Mordecai, then you go off to the butcher's to buy some blood, and then after that you're gonna try and find some other tieflings and
See about
Yeah.
some Luciferus.
very very casually, kind of, hey.
You really
So-
shouldn't do that.
Why not?
It's not good for you. My brother says that it'll make you feel really good and it'll heighten your senses. But afterwards, you just kind of feel gray, and then you keep taking more and more, and then eventually you'll go blind.
Go blind?
Yeah. That's what he said. He said that it'll make you go blind if you take too much.
Did he say after how long?
No, he just said do it too much.
That's very vague. And that almost
Yeah.
sounds untrue.
But he didn't want me to take it, so he didn't want to say, "Oh, take it 7 times," and then I'd do it and only do it.
No, it's more.
It's
more-
probably different for everyone too, if you think about it, because some people are taller, some people are smaller, so things just work differently when you're different heights and weights.
I can see that,
Hmm.
but it also sounds like something he would say. I mean, I don't know him personally, but it also sounds like, based on the way that you talk about him, that you worship everything that he has to say regardless.
I mean, he's my big brother. I have to listen to him. And he wouldn't tell me not to take drugs if I wasn't supposed to take drugs.
Well,
Or-
understandably so. You don't want to
those
do
words,
that.
you know what I mean. It's bad for you. You shouldn't take drugs.
I'm
Kind
a
of common
vampire.
knowledge.
I do what I want. I'm an adult.
But Noralai
Yeah,
is
so?
like 16 and knows everything, so...
17.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, well then, all the more.
Norlight, you are a child. I don't expect you to understand.
Still, shouldn't take drugs. Everyone says that.
Normally I would agree with you, but I think we have to make exceptions.
I think you're just a bad influence, and I shouldn't listen to you.
What?
You're a bad influence. That's what you are.
I've never claimed
You
to be
and
a
Bright.
good
Bright
one.
was trying to say I should do it, too.
Yeah, I've
You
never
guys are
claimed to
both
be a
bad
good one.
influence.
I am a
I don't-
terrible influence. You should never do exactly as I do.
No,
I
I
know.
don't want you to get hooked on drugs. It's just we only have 2 people who can even take it. And if it's really important,
It's
if
not
it'll help
important.
get
the
It's
the
only
job
one who can.
If it'll help get the job done, then I am willing to put my own butt on the line. I'm not willing to put anyone else's butt on the line. That is my
They're
choice.
gonna go blind. And then you're gonna be like, oh no, I went blind. No, I didn't. I listened to Norlai. You go do what you want, but I think it's a bad idea.
I will do exactly as I want. You cannot. There's no way that you can change my mind.
Fine, they'll go blind.
All right, so you're eschewing the words of wisdom passed on to Norlai by her big brother, and you're gonna go.
I'm gonna go see if I can find something. Yeah.
Okay. Then Bright is also searching for trouble, so to speak. Mordecai is doing the same. Norlai, are you just gonna go back to your room and enjoy the free room service in your penthouse suite?
I can't afford to go to some shady place, so I'm gonna stay at the penthouse where they're paying for everything. You know, it'd be rude not to.
Including like all the extra mani-pedis that you get, and you're raiding the.
You know, and the
You're
hot
drinking all those
water
little
in the
$10
bath.
bottles of water in the fridge that are. It would be rude not to take them up on that. Okay.
Yeah.
Then what we'll do is to kind of tie things up together. Jade, give me an insight check and a perception check, both at advantage for your long-term stakeout in the fields outside of the Flowerfield Mansion, as you're observing the actions and attitudes of the workers.
Did you not hear, Derek?
No, actually, I didn't. I had a cat who was currently trying to. And I
Okay.
wasn't sure if she was going to accidentally slide
I
off.
wasn't sure if you're formulating something or you were going to invoke a power or something.
I do
Roll.
apologize on that.
That's fine. Roll a perception and an insight, each at advantage, as you are spending the afternoon going into the evening observing the actions and attitudes of the workers outside the Flowerfield Mansion.
I can't roll over 10.
Okay,
Not
so a
terrible.
13 and a 13 on each.
This is kind of ridiculous. Matty, did you hack your roll 20? Is that what's going on here?
We'll
Are we
see.
secretly
It was-
only rolling d8s?
It was Dark Wolf that set the tone.
I did.
With
I
that
did
first
say
nat one.
Okay, here's the thing. I did say at the beginning there would be 2 nat ones.
Yeah. You highly underestimated. In fact, I'm kind of curious.
I overestimated the rolling power. That's what I did.
Well, somebody who's not in sync, can you like backtrack and see how many ones were rolled this session? I'm kind of curious.
And
Come on,
now
bud.
I need a. Well, unless you're going to drop your guys here, you're being interacted with by the other employees. I mean, you're a new face. You're someone else that you're breaking up the monotony. A lot of things are happening here, and if you wish to keep up the charade, I'm going to need a deception from you that is straight up.
There we
Six.
go.
Not terrible.
Oh,
And
with a
another-
23. All right.
And another 1.
Oh,
Yes.
and yeah. Unfortunately, we take the first number there. So,
Mhm.
okay. You interact with them in a way that you are. I mean, you're the new person. You're here, and it seems like the workers are very accepting of you. And they're going to take you to a place that they know, one of their local places, and they are going to they're going to welcome you the only way that they really can truly express themselves to welcome aboard to working outside, and that's just to get you absolutely drunk. And they're going to take you to their local bar, and they're going to they're going to break you in. And
Oh, goody. So to everybody else in the chat who has been following along, this is one of the worst case scenarios, and I'm looking forward to how bad this is going to end up.
No.
So what we'll do is we'll come up to we're creeping up on where I should probably cut it off, because there could be other interactions that Celine might want, or to have you all more aboard. Norlai, you are going to be up in the penthouse, minding your own business, taking a hot bath, because they actually have indoor plumbing and hot water available to you here, lo and behold. And the three of you remaining are going to each find yourselves... I'll have to come up with a spicy name. I will come up with a spicy name for this local place. But for sure, this would be... I don't want to call it like a country bar. It would be more like...
It's a roadhouse.
Yeah, like so it's not country, but it has like it's more of a grungy, westerny kind of, frontier style. It would have a bunch of people like smoking tobacco or other things in here. There's probably what's a neon sign? There's probably some like buzzing neon sign somewhere, and yeah.
I got the perfect name for the start of next episode then.
Oh.
If that's the type of bar, it's almost a Western theme. And Jade's about to get drunk.
Okay.
We're calling that episode Frontier Psychology.
I will, in the fashion that I've been naming the sessions, I will do my best with that. But the sessions have been named in a particular manner.
Yeah, I'm noticing.
One word.
The Stone Donkey, the bar for the real hard person. You are going to be Jade. You're going to be taken down there. It's quitting time, and so you are going to travel. You're going to travel with everyone there, and you're going to get to be introduced to the bartenders. There's, so there's some. It'd be like rockabilly style music playing. So like there's like a tiefling band playing. They're singing an Infernal. And you're getting that kind of rock and roll / like Western blend through their sound. Occasionally, you hear some stuff in common. Wait, can you speak Infernal? Can Jade? No, okay.
No,
but you know what?
she is
You feel it.
Pretty good in reading it.
You...
So that's how she's probably faking it. She's making references to science written Infernal, so implying that she can speak it, she just chooses to speak in common.
Sure. I mean, no one's really paying attention. You already accepted this point. I'm not going to worry about minutia.
Oh, yeah. I just think that's interesting.
But for sure, I mean, you don't even, because it's like listening to a song in a foreign language that you already can't speak. You can still get the idea of the song. You can still feel the music, and you can still get into the mood.
Gangnam Style.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, so you're in this rockabilly sort of dive, and the other employees here are they're going to be asking you all kinds of questions, and they're going to be telling you about their lives, and they're going to be telling you about you're getting in the fields. You got a little bit, but here especially where alcohol is loosening tongues, but also probably skewing some information. They're telling you about all sorts of stuff. I mean, you want to know what's happening, you talk to the workers. And they're also going to be getting you drunk unless you're refusing their shots.
Jade's not in the driver's seat right now. So, yeah, she's probably gonna be, she'll be taking a few shots at the very least. I can guarantee you that.
Okay. So you're going to be enjoying libations off in one part of the bar. Mordecai, you're going to be able to purchase blood at the price that we've discussed before.
Wait a while, Jade will be throwing it up.
And Mordecai, let's do a bit of a... How would you like to ask around for Lucifrace?
I don't know anybody, so...
Well, I was looking for the criminals in the bars, so that's kind of... I mean, I figured what I was hoping we could do is see if the person at the butcher shop might give us a hint, but if not, we'll just look for CD Bar.
Do you want to approach this through investigation? Do you want to approach this through persuasion? You know, as you're asking around, you know, you're trying to find people that you think you can address or at least get a hint from. So there, I can see you pursuing this in several different ways, and I want you to tell me, how is Mordecai going to walk through the streets of a strange city asking for drugs?
Probably in some kind of persuasive manner. But at the same time, it also comes across as kind of a deception thing, because he doesn't necessarily want to be forthright, but he wants to get his information, if that makes any sense.
Do you have proficiency in both?
I have proficiency in persuasion.
In persuasion? Okay.
Not deception. My deception's okay, but...
Yeah. I'd imagine just naturally. Tell you what then. You can make a persuasion... Oh, here. I'll let you choose. You can make a persuasion straight up or a deception at advantage.
I'll take advantage.
Okay. Oh, nice. All right, so a 22. So you don't come off as that awkward, like that Steve Buscemi, you know, he's wearing, like, rock and roll band. He has a skateboard over his shoulder. He's like, hey, I'm also a kid at this school, too, kind of a thing. You know, meanwhile, I was, like, 50 years old. And, you know, so you don't come across as...
I'm very sly, and I flatter people.
So, you know, with some winks, you know, a little bit of, you know, some persuasive tail swishing. Because don't forget, you know, tieflings can speak with their tails as part of their gesticulations. And so you give some very, you know, a little bit of a wiggle to your tail, a little bit of a glint in your eye. You know, you smile through the chicken beard that you have on your face right now. And, you know, whether or not it's because of that chicken, maybe people feel bad for you, or maybe people say, what does this man have to lose? You are... Yeah. But so you go up and you're all like sassy, wiggling your tail like, hey, where's the man get a little bit of
That man really loves his cocaine.
But you are told...
That's the only explanation.
You are told that there is a locals bar where a lot of tieflings do hang out, and you are probably going to be able to find some Lucifrace there. And that if you do obtain some in your current state, the person who's giving you this information would love to know what you experienced.
I'll keep that in mind.
And then we new Monica. And then we come over to Bright, who is with the innocence of Norlai, but the directness of Mordecai here, we have sort of Bright in the middle, who's very purposely kind of looking for trouble, but she's doing so for very good reasons. You are going to just ask around, and you'll be led to a couple different places. That would be more the local bars, and you come across one that just it really fits what you're the closest thing anyway. That this kind of suburban-esque, upper middle upper income class city has. Which is this, as I described it, it's this rockabilly tiefling bar. A lot of locals, a lot of the farm hands and the other day laborers and such hang out here. And sure enough, here comes little Bright. She's got her pink hair, her little floof swaying in the breeze. You probably don't even have to push open, those saloon doors.
Well, I'm not going to go in with my pink floofs.
Oh! Are we going goth night? What are we doing? How are we looking?
No, I want to see this.
Yeah.
Bright going goth?
No, I'm not going goth. I'm going halfling. I'm gonna do a little halfling man with a scar replacing his left eye, and he's clearly and I mean that'll be I don't have ever since my Roll20 crashed, my character sheet isn't working, but it'll be a disguise self.
Okay.
So if you need to roll it.
Yeah. All right, your disguise goes off. Nothing else happens.
Here we go.
There we go.
There it goes.
All right, so you are a one-eyed halfling man, and I think part of your description cut out. Can you fill in a couple more details?
Well, he's dressed for work in the fields.
Okay.
And he's probably illiterate and probably just the sort of a drifter who's come here looking for work.
All right.
That gives you idea. So dirty clothes and not.
I just kind of look like me.
Yeah, he's.
So still, well then I should ask, are any of the rest of you, like Mordecai, are you casting any spells, or are you cool as you are?
I don't know if I'd have better luck if I changed clothes. To be fair.
That's fine. All right, so then Bright, who's not Bright but is instead taking on you can you don't even have to, because those saloon doors that you can kind of press open, you could probably just walk underneath them, but instead you kind of go out of your way and you lean up and you push them open as you walk through. It's given how you're looking, it's not like everyone in the saloon just stops playing the piano stops and everyone playing cards just look over at tee I'm Bright. You're a one-eyed halfling, kind of grizzled-looking worker who walks in, and business continues. And so what we'll do is, as you are all walking in here, Jade will have been here first and will have been carousing with the others. And Bright, you pretty well were looking very directly for a place like this. So in the order, we'll say, Bright, that you would be arriving... secondarily, though you wouldn't see Jade because Jade looks like a tiefling right now. And Mordecai, you will arrive here out of character lastly. And then you can go around and make your inquiries as you will. So, all right. So we'll stop here at and then meanwhile Norlai is eating like chocolates and having some fresh cold water out of a tap. State of the art, these are 100% pure lead pipes. You will just not find these anywhere else. And the indoor plumbing is absolutely amazing and has no long-term repercussions at all.
You have a lot more pressing concerns.
So, all I need to at least I don't mind lingering around for a little bit of table talk, but I'm gonna have to get up and take a little bit of like at least like a 5 minute little bit of a break, maybe grab some salsa and chips, and we'll hang out for a while until Gathering of Nerds goes live. If any of you want to stick around and talk and go from there. So and then for all of you in the audience, we'll take like a 5 minute break for you as well. What's that?
What time is it in character now?
It is going to be, I don't know, we'll say it's 8 p.m. Definitely the moon is rising, the sun has set, it is dark in the streets of Snamfi.
I think I'll have wanted to try and contact Tiba one more time.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh dear God. Maddie,
Okay.
This is a delicious train wreck.
As you are... Okay, so as you have determined where you can go to get this, the Lucifrace, and you say, well, I guess before I go and I forget what I'm doing, if this stuff is really going to affect me, I'm going to try and reach out and contact Tiba. Your spell goes off as well as an effect. 1d100. And... yeah, it's not quite a 100. We came close, though. We got a 98, although I guess one of the die just sort of flung itself somewhere on the board. I only see the ones. All right, anyway, let's see what happens. Consult the chart.
It was cocked.
Oh, reroll. Oh, okay. So you are surrounded by faint ethereal music for the next minute. So you contact Tiba, and you just hear perhaps some sort of like a faint sea shanty that is it's surrounding you as you've tried to reach out to Tiba. Sounds like a young boy is singing a sea shanty.
A young boy?
Yeah.
Is it Tiba's voice?
Yes.
Oh my god. Is it like, do I get the sense that that's coming from the sending?
No. But it's happening.
Why would it be in Tiba's voice?
Well, I mean, it was a wild surge, so who knows?
True.
It is, yeah. Some wild magic just happened.
Well, I can't really give you ideas because I'm not there.
Nope. But as soon as I
Make
get
the chicken
this,
react.
I was really rooting for you to suddenly become a beard on a chicken. I was really rooting.
That'd be
Chicken
something.
swap places.
The chicken's still the same height as Mordecai.
How do
So-
you like it?
What could this mean? Is it wild magic? Well, yes, we know it's wild magic, but is it wild magic? Is it a part of the sending? Mordecai can figure that out. I figured that'll be a little bit more useful. Well, I don't know. Than if you just sort of walked into the bar and suddenly you had your own personal background music playing with your ethereal, suddenly like the saloon doors, boom, boom, burst open. Then it's a battle without honor or humanity from the Kill Bill soundtrack or something.
oh no. Now Mordecai's like, he's completely wondering like if he actually reached him or not. It's...
We shall see in the next episode.
So before we log off,
Yeah.
I need a recap of exactly the game state, like where everybody currently is.
Okay.
And who knows what? Because I know
Stuff I would have shared. Yeah.
I
Realize went home.
we will pick
And
up.
I know Jaden.
We will pick up when Mordecai is entering the bar. So Jade, Bright, you'll have been here for, I don't know, maybe a half hour or so already, and Jade will have been here for about an hour and a half already.
So 5 shots in.
And you tell me. So I can work with you on the side for those of you who've been here before to give you some side info. But when we pick up next Tuesday, Mordecai, you open the door and various like tobacco smells or whatever. It's a smoky rockabilly bar filled with mostly tieflings. The smells of various alcohol. Infernals being spoken and sung everywhere. With some common here and there. But here you are, and so it'll be fresh for you, and then I'll provide some information to Jade and Bright on the side. Will that work?
Yeah, and where's Celine? Did she go home too?
I'll talk with Lethality about that as well, and find out. So.